Welcome to the 2015 Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. It's the 15th consecutive season of this international racing series. It opens at Zandvoort in the Netherlands, and we look at the Supersport and Sport divisions. Top-level touring car racing, boasting brands like BMW and Seat, Lotus, Ginetta and Renault. It's going to be very exciting, says Championship organiser Dick van Elk. Competition stronger than ever with familiar names and faces, but also some new competitors ready to spring a few surprises. I'm sure we see some great battles in Supersport and the Sport division. In Sport, we put a lot of effort into minimising the differences in speed between the various different cars. I'm really excited to see how well this has worked out. We can balance them off the first two races. Well, one of the faster drivers in Supersport this year is 17-year-old Huub Del Nooy. His co-driver for the weekend, reigning champion Cor Oyser, and they take pole for both races. My expectations and ambitions, says Huub. I want to be in the top three for every race and hopefully win the championship. That would be great. But first we'll focus on performing well in every race. We're not going to take big risks. Every weekend ending on the podium will be our main goal, and scoring enough points hopefully will bring the championship. We'll take a look at the second race of the weekend. On pole, it's the Lotus Exige, with Huub Del Nooy doing the first stint of the 60-minute encounter. In race one, they finished third, so Cor Oyser is checking everything over to make sure they can win race two. Second on the grid, the winners of the first race of the weekend, Mark van der Aar and Koen Boekhuyst, once more in a JR Motorsport BMW. And Erik van der Munkhoff kicks off his season strongly with a third-place start. It's the second year he's been in this BMW Z4 GTR. He shares row 2 with Dan Meyer, driving the M3 GTR that was very competitive last year in the hands of Dennis de Groot. De Groot swapped to this 1 Series GTR. Mark de Graaf is doing the first stint. He'll start from 5th place. And next to him, English newcomer David Graham in this black Ginetta G50 GT4. Also new to the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli is Belgian driver Bart van Haren. He'll start from the 4th row in a yellow and black BMW M3 GTR, which he shares with Philip Benale. 2014 Sport champions Dennis de Borst and Martin de Klein start from 8th with this latest generation Seat Leon Cup racer. Well, with the Sport and Supersport class, there's 26 cars on the grid, led by the little Lotus. A lot of BMW 6 and 8-cylinder horsepower right behind it. The much lighter Lotus was the better car all round in qualifying, but that lower horsepower might make it difficult at the rolling start of the 60-minute race after 2 warm-up laps to try and get some heat into the tyres of cold Zandvoort. On board with Dennis de Borst, he had gearbox troubles in free practice, couldn't do much testing. 330 horsepower and a 2-litre turbo Seat engine up against 4-litre V8 BMWs behind him, with 5 BMWs in the top 8. Huub Del Nooy in the little Lotus will pace the field then as the safety car dives to the pit lane. We are ready to go racing once more here on cold, crisp Zandvoort. On board with de Borst. And as he puts his foot down, nothing happens. He's being swamped by the guys around him. Was he in the wrong gear? No turbo boost? Whatever. The Seat drops back as into the lead goes Koen Boekhuyst from the outside the front row. The Lotus in second. The white BMW M3 going around the outside. That's Dan Meyer, but Huub Del Nooy grabs second place. On board with de Borst, struggling here down in 12th place. Koen Boekhuyst leads from the Lotus of Huub Del Nooy and Dan Meyer in third place, side by side for 4th. Into Hugenholtz. Behind the black Ginetta of David Graham, there's a bit of a traffic jam. The big oversteer from Haren and Peter Schurers tries to take 8th place. Ruud Olly and the BMW also try to benefit from that. Everybody sliding around on cold tyres on this opening lap. Dennis de Borst now attacking Bart van Haren. And at the front of this little queue is the black Ginetta of David Graham. Looks like he's been holding everybody up. Eric Fick trying to go around the outside of the BMW and right in the front of the shot. I think he's just got through. He has. And the orange tail right behind. That is the BMW of Peter Schurers. Still trying to find a way past here. Front-wheel drive Seat should warm its tyres a little better. You can see he's got better grip at the front, but the back is breaking away. Well, he picks up a spot as David Graham's black Ginetta makes life difficult for those behind. 3 BMWs battling for the same position with the orange tail. That's Peter Schurers in the middle. Ruud Olly down the inside with the red and blue stripes. Still wheel to wheel. The 1 Series, that's Robert van den Berg. That hatchback BMW. Ruud Olly still on the inside there. Now we're catching with Dennis de Borst. Watch what happens. Oh, again, he has a moment. And drifting out wide, there goes Peter Schurers. Ruud Olly gets through. Right on the tail of the Ginetta onto the straight, just where he needs to be in a challenge for second. On board with Huub Del Nooy as Dan Meyer sends it down the inside in his BMW GTR. Through he goes to second. Lotus down to third spot. And while that was happening further back, Ruud Olly taking 7th away from the black Ginetta of David Graham. And behind them, Bart van Haren going by Dennis de Borst once more to retake 11th. Ain't no substitute for horsepower down this long straight at Zandvoort into Tarzan. Looks like everybody's starting to get some heat into the tyres as well. Not quite so tippy-toey. BMW's 1-2 now with Koen Bogaerts ahead of Dan Meyer, and then Huub Del Nooy in the first of the two Lotuses, because there are two. Jan van der Kooi in the second one that was crashed heavily in practice by Luc van Loon. They didn't get a chance to qualify, and that black machine now coming from the back of the field. Van der Kooi attacking Dennis de Boerst for 12th place, looking back from the Seat Leon Cup racer, and down the straight comes the Lotus. He will outbrake the front-wheel drive car into Tarzan. Wheel to wheel, you see de Boerst can't go for the apex, the Lotus still there, and through he goes. De Boerst drops another spot. De Boerst looking to counter-attack on the way up to Hugenholtz. Little group in front, held up by the Ginetta, which has a big lock-up. We go down the inside the Lotus. That is Park van Haren right in front. Here comes the Lotus back on the exit of the corner. Jan van der Kooi just arrives right around the outside, but the Ginetta is smoking heavily now. Looks like there's a tyre rubbing. That must have been contact. The 1 Series BMW of Robert Vandenberg went by, and yes, look, sure, probably a puncture there, I'm afraid, for David Graham. 9th in race 1, and now this drama for him. It's not a great debut, I'm afraid, for the newcomer. If we take a look at the replay, let's see if we can pick up what happens. So the BMW 1 Series has a bit of a lunge. Maybe the Ginetta braked early, maybe the BMW braked late. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I'm sure they'll both have a different story to tell. Team has a tyre ready, quick once over. Tyre will go on, some damaged bodywork removed. He'll be sent back out, but unfortunately retires on lap 10 with suspension damage that they hadn't spotted. Battle for third place, Huub Del Nooy in the Lotus ahead of Erik van der Munkhoff in the white, red and black BMW Z4, and Mats de Graaf in the BMW 1 Series. And the 1 Series and the Z4 both with 3.2 litre BMW engines. Lotus with its 1.8 four-cylinder power unit. But its nimbleness keeps it in front of the more powerful but heavier BMWs. Van der Munkhoff with a good run here though, dives down the inside into Nameless. Del Nooy left a big gap there. Can't defend on the exit because the BMW is still there, and through comes Mats de Graaf in that 1 Series car. So 2 places gone there, I'm afraid, for the Lotus. He's down to 5th. Well, he might benefit if the 2 BMWs get to blows. And at the moment, it's Koen Bogaerts from Dan Meyer, then Van der Munkhoff and de Graaf. It's BMW 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different BMWs in the top 4 ahead of the Lotus. Koen Bogaerts in a ex-World Touring car with a 3.2 engine. Dan Meyer in his 3.2 M3 GTR. And then the Z4 and the 1 Series GTRs, both with 3.2 engines as well. Little Lotus Exige hanging on as Mats de Graaf attacks. He's got a good run going here on Erik van der Munkhoff. Swaps to the inside into the Kumo turn, and through he goes for 3rd. That's a great piece of driving. Sold the dummy to Van der Munkhoff, who defended, and then the door was open. Onto the straight comes Huub Del Nooy. The BMW's fan out. Can he find some space here? Not on the outside, surely. Going to try and go with Van der Munkhoff. He's on the limiter though, and Van der Munkhoff can't get the job done. Mats de Graaf stays in 3rd place. Fantastic racing all the way through the field, and coming up next, more battles in Supersport and the outcome of race 2, as well as a report on the action in the sport class. Stay with us here at Zandvoort. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntix, innovative lubricants, and Autosportinsurance.com. Round 1 of the Supercar Challenge, powered by Pirelli at Zandvoort in the Netherlands. We're looking at race 2 for the Supersport and Sport classes. Huub Del Nooy, the poleman, losing the lead in the first turn to BMW driver Koen Bogaerts. Now down to 5th place behind 3 further BMWs. Dan Meyer in 2nd, Erik van der Munkhoff in 3rd, but then losing that place to Mats de Graaf in the 1 Series GTR. Koen Bogaerts won the first race on Saturday with teammate Mark van der Aar, but because of that, they've got 15 seconds extra they must spend stationary during the mandatory pit stops. And that means they've got to open up a big margin on their rivals to stay in front. His teammate behind him, Dan Meyer, seems to be quicker. There's no point losing time fighting him, so Bogaerts makes a sensible decision to let the quicker car go and try and battle the rivals that were close behind them in race 1 on the way to the pit stops. So a change for the lead, and the battle is on for 4th. Here comes Huub Del Nooy. He's flying up behind Erik van der Munkhoff. And the Munkhoff puts his BMW on the inside. A little chatter there under braking from Huub Del Nooy. He's alongside. He's got the traction and the room on the exit. Nice clean driving from van der Munkhoff, not to ease him onto the dirt. He's back in 5th. The Lotus up to 4th and ready, trying to attack the car in front. This is the battle right behind them. Eric Fick in 6th place with the more black on his car being attacked by Ruud Ollie. Ollie driving on his own. Eric Fick sharing with Steve van Bellingen in that number 421 BMW M3 GTR. On board with Del Noy. Now he's really got the bit between his teeth. This is Marc de Graaf in front, who shares with Dennis de Groot. This is for third, and again, chattering of the bodywork and the splitter on the ground as he tries to outbrake the BMW 1 Series into Tarzan. He doesn't get it there. Still got traction. Look at this drive there. Looks to the inside, and again, really close racing and very clean by both men. Slower car, the Peugeot RCZ right in front. Marc de Graaf gets his nose back in front of the Lotus, nice and cleanly, and there's trouble, and that's Ronald van Loon's BMW 3 Series, another ex-World Touring Car Championship chassis. He's crashed on the exit of the S chicane. On-board replay. Into the second element. Oh, no brakes. No brakes. That's bad news. Something broke at the front and put him in the barriers. Well, he's out of the car, he's okay. The car isn't. It'll need a safety car to recover it, and almost immediately the pit lane is open, so it's a very busy place. Marc de Graaf comes in to hand over to Dennis de Groot.
Ja, hard werken. We kwamen van P5 en
hard work, he said. We started from 5th. The first few laps are good. I was stuck behind the BMW of Eric van der Munkhoff and the Lotus of Hugues Del Noy, and when I finally managed to get by them, I started to chase after leaders, but a couple of times the gearbox wouldn't find gears when I went for them, so they got right back on my tail again. It's pretty hard to defend when you're having problems with the gearbox. We also haven't got the greatest straight line speed out of Harry Lyndike corner, so that's not perfect either, but I think the leaders were so incredibly quick, I probably couldn't have caught them anyway, but I hope the pit stop was good, and hopefully Dennis will make up a few places. Burkhardt had to push hard in his stint to compensate for their 15 result seconds, but with the safety car out before the pit window opened, it didn't really go in his favour. I managed to pull out 11 seconds, he said. That was great, but then the safety car came out, so all that hard work was for nothing. We had 15 result seconds extra because we won on Saturday, so I had to make up for that by pushing hard. With the safety car in the first part of the race, the gap I built up was gone, so the game changed. Cards are on the table now, though. Let's see what we can do. Mark basically needs to push really hard all the way, flat out. Well, after the pit stops, Dan Meyer leads ahead of Dennis de Groot's 1 Series. Corroy's a third in the Lotus, hot on his heels, ahead of Mark van der Aar, Stefan Bellinger and Serge van der Slot, taking over from Robert van der Berg. And Corroy's attacking Dennis de Groot. Battle for second place. Well, he's a real veteran of Dutch motorsport, in fact of international motorsport. Uses all his experience to good effect, goes through before turn 9, and the leader not far away. This could be a very entertaining race. De Groot under pressure with the pink highlights of Mark van der Aar right with him. Van der Aar looks outside, can't get through there. De Groot having to defend, but van der Aar looks like he's got better speed. Mark van der Aar all over the back of him. Dennis de Groot in the BMW 1 Series struggling now. See the BMW wriggling its tail on the exit of the Harry Lyndike chicane. Then he's on the dirt, and that loses him a bit of ground. You actually heard a little flinch on the gas from Mark van der Aar, but he goes by anyway. So he'll move up into third place. Don't forget, Koen Burkhardt led the race early on in that, and they've already paid their penalty, so if they can catch the leaders, they will be able to battle for the lead. Steve van Bellingen took over the M3 from Eric Fick, and he's now been chased by Sander van der Slot in that 1 Series GTR. Long battle, but it ends with a collision out of the sight of the cameras. Sander van der Slot has to retire. She said everything was going well. Too bad the car got damaged early on. After pit stops, had a tough battle with another BMW. He kept closing the door really hard. I let him off the hook a couple of times, but at one point the gap was big enough to get into. Unfortunately, we collided. I think the drive shaft or the clutch is broken. It always feels like a flat tyre, and I suppose maybe it's hard for viewers to understand what it feels like in the car. Of course, it's not a flat tyre, but you don't know what it is until you examine the car later. Shame we're out, but it's good to know we could be in the top 6 in our first racing weekend in the Supercar Challenge. Well, Sandra van der Slot probably the fastest lady driver in the Netherlands with 4 national championships in pro racing, but that's nothing compared to this man, Cor Oyser. This is his 35th year of racing, celebrated this race weekend. Saturday, the anniversary of winning his first ever trophy, also here at Zandvoort. Apparently he's driven in 893 races at 108 different tracks. He's claimed 169 wins, 243 poles and 18 championship titles. Well, enough of that as he's chasing Dan Meyer for the lead now, using every trick in the book in the slipstream. Right behind Meyer. Looks to go around the outside with a little Lotus. He so often played the underdog role. Well, it's a great racing effort from Koreuser, but it will end with them parking with a mechanical problem. Well, I could have tried a couple more times to take the lead, he says, but unfortunately the engine was down to 3 cylinders. Of course it can carry on, but the damage would be great, and we're not here really just to rack up huge bills. Well, the race finishes not long afterwards under red flag, 6 minutes before the end, after Ruud Olli runs over somebody else's drive shaft, which smashes his sump and drops oil all over the track. Didn't materially affect the race. Dan Meyer ended up victorious ahead of Koen Boekhort's Mark van der Aar, Dennis de Groot and Martin de Graaf. Dan Meyer, the Race 2 winner, had only really anticipated doing this season opener, but now he might be reconsidering his plans. Well, I'm now really thinking about doing the whole season, he said. Last year I was in the GTB class, so I'm not really sure, but this was a great experience. Fantastic. JL Motorsport did a great job, so huge thanks to them. They did indeed. In fact, they claimed all 3 podium spots. The runners-up in last year's Supersport Championship lead the standings after Zandvoort, Koen Boekhort and Mark van der Aar, 2 points ahead of Dan Meyer. Rob Neiman starts from pole for race 2 in the sport class with the Spirit Racing Renault Clio RS. He finished second in race 1. John van der Voort starts second with the Hardest Plaza Racing BMW 1 Series. Benjamin Vandenberg will do the second stint in that car. Third on the grid, Marco Poland, another Spirit Racing Renault Clio. His teammate Tone Rutgers won the first race of the weekend. Now it's up to Marco to do the same. And fourth, newcomers Karian Bergsma and Peter de Jong in a Lotus Exige Cup. Start of race 2 on board with Chris Voet, 6th in the sport class, and watch Jan van der Kooi, the Supersport Lotus Exige, go by from the back of the grid. But a good start for Voet, passes the green and white Clio there of Wiebe Weitzes and Marco Poland before braking for Tarzan. Inside is Karian Bergsma in the Lotus. He's got the grip to go around the outside of her. He's now moved up to 3rd. Can't get close to the BMW 1 Series of John van der Voort and the Clio of Rob Neiman just yet, though. There's a great battle for the lead between John van der Voort in the more powerful 3-litre 6-cylinder 1 Series GTR and the 2-litre Renault Clio of Rob Neiman, one of the veterans of the championship. The Clio's been upgraded with the flat 4, perfect aerodynamics for the long straight here, and that is the key. A little more speed keeps him in front on the straights. Well, that and a little bit of strategy. Van der Voort doesn't have to push to the maximum. Rob Neiman has 10 result seconds for finishing second in race 1. So when Benjamin Vandenberg gets into the BMW, they could be able to take the lead.
Ja, het ging helemaal hartstikke super.
Everything went according to plan, said John. Great fight with Rob Neiman. Fair battle. We both created the gap to the others. I knew he had 10 result seconds, so if I could stay close, everything was set to take the lead in the race after pit stops. And then the safety car came out behind me. I called to the team, can I come in? Is the pit window open? It wasn't. So when I came in, it was too late. That's all part of the game. Better luck next time, I suppose.
It's all in the game. Volgende keer beter.
Well, they drop back to 3rd place in the race as Frank Beedorf moves up to 2nd. So, as in Saturday's first race, a 1-2 for Spirit Racing's Clios. They've improved the cars for the season and the hard work pays off. Rob Neiman victorious ahead of Frank Beedorf, the BMW 1 Series, on the podium in 3rd ahead of Wiebe Weitzes.
Ja, ik ben ongelooflijk gelukkig.
I'm really happy, says Rob Neiman. If you know the story of how we got here, it's been a long journey with illness, lots of sorrow, night after night working on the cars. In free practice 1, one of the drivers ruined the front of the car. On the 4th lap, an engine got wrecked. The team has been working so hard through the night to get the cars fixed. But when I got in, everything felt perfect. I just knew the car was completely spot on. Yesterday we were very close. I couldn't finish the job because one of my teammates is a better rain driver. But today everything worked out as planned. I'm very proud of 1st and 2nd for Spirit Racing. Very proud of everyone in the team. So the podium, Rob Neiman the winner from Frank Beedorf, John van der Voort and Benjamin Vandenberg in 3rd. P2 in race 1, P1 in race 2. Rob Neiman is the championship leader, but not by much. Well, that's it for the Supersport and the Sport classes. Next time out from Zandvoort, we'll take a look at the Superlights Challenge, the fast and nimble sports car prototypes. Till then, it's goodbye. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntix, Innovative Lubricants and Autosportinsurance.com.